Years ago in the 1920s and the 1930s, they said, global cooling will kill the world. We have to do something. Then they said global warming will kill the world, but then it started getting cooler, so now they could just call it climate change, because that way they can't miss. It's climate change, because if it goes higher or lower, whatever the hell happens, there's climate change. It's the greatest con job ever perpetrated on the world, in my opinion.
President Donald Trump has just delivered one of the most explosive speeches ever heard at the United Nations, and it's already shaking the global stage. He didn't just criticize the UN, he exposed it, from calling climate change the greatest con job ever perpetrated on the world, to warning about the dangers of uncontrolled migration, to slamming Western nations for rewarding Hamas by recognizing Palestine. This wasn't diplomacy. This was truth, bombs dropped at the very heart of global power. And here's the key. Trump wasn't just speaking to diplomats in that room. He was speaking to you, to me, and to every nation now caught in the chaos of globalism, mass migration, and rising conflict. So buckle in, because what you're about to see isn't just news, it's a turning point.
Not only is the UN not solving the problems it should, too often, it's actually creating new problems for us to solve. The best example is the #1 political issue of our time, the crisis of uncontrolled migration. It's uncontrolled. Your countries are being ruined. The United Nations is funding an assault on Western countries and their borders. In 2024, the UN budgeted $372 million in cash assistance to support an estimated 624,000 migrants journeying into the United States.
And he doesn't stop there.
Unfortunately, Hamas has repeatedly rejected reasonable offers to make peace. We can't forget October 7th, can we? Now, as if to encourage continued conflict, some of this body is seeking to unilaterally recognize a Palestinian state. The rewards would be too great for Hamas terrorists for their atrocities. This would be a reward for these horrible atrocities, including October 7th, even while they refuse to release the hostages or accept a ceasefire. Instead of giving to Hamas and giving so much, because they've taken so much, this could have been solved so long ago. But instead of giving in to Hamas's ransom demands, those who want peace should be united with one message: release the hostages now. Just release the hostages now.
That clip right there shows why Trump remains the most disruptive voice in world politics. He goes into the belly of the beast, the United Nations itself, and tells them flat out, you're destroying the very countries you claim to protect. Think about this for a second. On climate, he tore apart the narrative by saying they simply rebranded global cooling to global warming, and then to climate change, so they could never be wrong. Whether you agree or disagree, he's pointing to the way institutions manipulate language to maintain power. And when it comes to migration, he didn't mince words. He called it a crisis, an assault on the West, fueled by the very organization meant to solve problems. He highlighted how the UN budgeted hundreds of millions to literally fund mass movement into the United States, something mainstream media almost never admits. And then there's Palestine. Trump blasted Australia, Canada, France, and Britain for recognizing statehood, while Hamas still holds hostages and refuses peace. To him, that's not peace. It's rewarding terrorism. And whether you support him or not, he's asking the uncomfortable question: why are Western governments so quick to legitimize violent groups while undermining their closest ally, the United States? This is why his speech matters. Because the warnings he gave years ago about Europe's dependence on Russian energy came true. The warnings he's giving now about migration and terrorism, those may prove just as accurate. He is reframing the debate around sovereignty, security, and whether Western nations have the courage to protect their values, or if they'll keep surrendering them to unelected global institutions. This is TheCryptagon. Stay sharp, stay informed,